Welcome, sir. Good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
You know,
Good
Dr. Carson, I want to play some more sound from Donald Trump's speech just a short time ago and get your response afterwards. Let's listen.
Americans will be voting for this 100-day plan to restore prosperity to our country, secure our communities, and honesty to our government. This is my pledge to you. And if we follow these steps, we will once more have a government of, by, and for the people.
Of course, the speech happening against the historic backdrop of Gettysburg, and Mr. Trump is saying our campaign, quote, represents change that happens once in a lifetime and asking American people to dream big again. With this contract that he is pledging, he was very focused today, specific and clear about what he intends to do in the first days of a Trump administration. Many populist themes, for example, were presented, and he acknowledges that the country is very divided. And to his supporters, they may be asking, why did it take this long to present this type of speech much earlier in the campaign?
Well, I think he knows that we're down to the crux now. And really, I'm glad he's beginning to talk this way because, as I've said for a long period of time, this election is not about Democrats versus Republicans. This election is about the status quo, the political class versus we, the people. And it will make all the difference in the world in terms of what happens, to our children and our grandchildren and the country from now on. If you look at the platforms and the policies of these two candidates, they go off in starkly different directions. And I think one of the reasons that the group that doesn't want to talk about the issues spends all this time creating distractions is because they want to make sure that the people don't know that we have the possibility of going off in a deeply different direction than the founders of this nation intended, or that anybody actually thinks that we're going off into. And they'll be there and they'll say, how did we get here? And then somebody will come back and say, well, nobody paid attention to what was going on at that election.
Well, you know, if the Trump campaign is calling this contract with America part of the closing argument of the campaign, do you think this is enough to win back some of the voters, particularly women and Hispanics, where he's been losing some ground?
I think it will help tremendously. I have great faith in the wisdom of the American people. I do not believe that they're as simplistic as many people in the political class think they are and the media think they are, and they think they can be so easily manipulated. I think many people take offense at that. And when you look at the crowds and the enthusiasm for Trump versus Clinton, that's telling you something, and that's really the reason they're coming out with all of this fire, because they're seeing it too. And they're trying to use psychological warfare. But I think that people are actually smarter than that. And Thomas Jefferson predicted that when we got to a point where we were about to turn into something else, it would be the wisdom of the people that would recognize that we were about to turn into something else, and they would do the right thing. I believe that this is going to happen. I truly do.
I want to put something up on the screen for our viewers where, you know, we have seen Trump have comebacks when the stakes were really against him. And if you take a look there at the different dates starting in May, you see where Clinton was up and then Trump was up by 7. You know, just take a look at the comebacks for Trump. It's been very interesting over the last several months. So I know the campaign is saying don't write him off just yet because there's still days to go before the big election. You know, he's talking about 47 million people living. And
remember.
Go ahead, sir. What? Remember,
there are things that the polls don't measure, like enthusiasm. That's a big one. And they also don't measure the fact that a lot of people, when you ask them who they're going to vote for, they're reluctant to say Trump because they don't want to be branded a racist. And, you know, there's this narrative out there that if you like Trump, you're a racist. And it's just not true,
let me get quickly to this part, though. He's talking about 47 million people living in poverty and 1 in 5 households where no one has a job. This speech directed at painting the contrast with Hillary Clinton on how he plans to create more jobs by lifting regulations that have hurt coal miners and others, along with getting rid of bad trade deals. Do you think that these ideas can win back Republicans in the battleground states who have been at odds with him for his focus on issues like going after the Democrats for setting up a rigged election?
Yes, these issues can certainly resonate with people if they will listen. And if they will investigate these things for themselves and not listen to the spin that you hear in the media, people who have clearly an agenda that's been shown in the recent weeks, then they will come to understand that we have lots of energy in this country. And if we use it the right way, we can not only help ourselves economically, but we can use the resources to help discover better energy sources for the future.
All right,
This
Dr.
doesn't have to be one thing against the other.
Good to see you, sir. Thank you very much for your reaction. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.